Hello guys, this is DAJ and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about an unappreciated two-parter. Those two parts are Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. Now, Part 2 to this will be in a few weeks when I've done it. So the 1930s music sets the scene. I just found a classic Who reference. And then we're introduced to the main characters of this episode, Tallulah and Laszlo. I had a look to see about the accents of this episode and who is British and who is American. Everybody apart from Tallulah is American. Tallulah is British and she appeared in Merlin, if anyone remembers series 4. The last two episodes she appeared in that. Shadows run across the screen, but it's good to see it as the character sees it and not showing us what is behind and what is freaking him out. There's an anti-climax and then we're revealed to the actual creature running into the front of the screen, scaring the life out of me even now, really. But I imagine this, and in fact it was extremely frightening when I was younger, when that pig jumps out and runs straight towards the camera. I've said a lot about this opening scene. Now I do it with just about all of these videos in this series. There's a reason for that. I think that the opening scene is definitely the best part because you have to set up a story there, and if you have a bad opening scene it can lead to a pretty boring episode because you have to get your audience invested at that stage. So there was once this thing that happened at school when a teacher started talking about how the first thing and the most important thing about writing a story is the first line, and he said something about a story in which a man wrote the first line of an idea that he had for a story over and over again and over and over again, and he never actually wrote that story because that line was so important. That opening line was so important, and that's a terrible thing to say to year 4s, but so welcome to Hooverville. This is where the Americans went, which is basically like in Central Park, which happened after the Wall Street crash when nobody had any money because it wasn't worth anything. I can't believe I failed history. Spider-Man, Solomon Grundy, the Doctor, and Martha go underground. The lighting here is great. The small amount of light creates shadows on the characters' faces. The pigs are shrouded in darkness as they emerge from the tunnel, and the Doctor's light shines directly into that pig's face, and it's the only thing that we can see on the screen. The light is not the only good thing about this episode. The sound and the use of music is great. Knowing when and when not to use music is hard to master. I don't have a faintest idea about it, but it needs to be congratulated more. Forgot to say earlier, but those pig things, they are, like, horrible. The skin, like the flaps and stuff in the necks, the hair, which if you imagine having to sew in each and every little strand of hair, that's not an easy task, and the prosthetics on the nose are just really good. I don't know how they would have put that on a face. I'm still trying to work out how they did it, whether it was just like an eyebrow, a nose, and a mouth piece. But then they've got the ears, which are like stuck onto their regular ears. It's just a great job in terms of prosthetics. I've realised some, like, theme for this episode, and it's like poverty and class and the class system. You've got Mr. Diagras, who's right at the top of that class system as a businessman, and then the people at the bottom are struggling, doing whatever that they can. You know, he says that they will be replaced like that, and if that happens, then you lose your job, you lose your money, because there's so many people, because of this Wall Street crash, that want money, that the class system is divided more than ever. For example, Mr. Diagras spends his episode basically he puts on gloves when he walks in, and I think that may be something to do with the idea that he's seeing all of these things and the idea that they're unclean, so then he puts his gloves on, and he kind of does the same with the people in Hooverville later when he has his gloves on and sort of shows off that he's got this power by wearing things like a big hat, and the gloves and the coat, and something that all of the people in Hooverville basically, you know, their fingers are showing through their gloves. They're probably not very warm. They don't really have hats. If they do, then they're pretty worn. I have an idea for like a metaphor for this episode. Now, Tallulah talks about how all men are pigs, which maybe just be foreshadowing for what is going to happen later on in this episode, to do with Laszlo being a pig. But she calls all men pigs, which made me think that she meant like all businessmen. So I thought that the Daleks are kind of like the businessmen because they are higher than Mr. Diagorus. He goes to go and see them because he calls them like his boss, and you know he I think he calls him like his master as well. But they turn these people into pigs, but really they are the pigs because the pigs are basically like disgusting creatures, but they are used as like a workforce. So they've resorted them, the people, into something so basic and so simple and so stupid in terms of a pig, because in history, using my history stuff again, they show a lot of like pigs cartoons and stuff during history altogether, you know, newspaper cartoons and stuff, and they show them being pigs. Now that makes me think that the pigs are the people, well, the bosses are the pigs, and these regular people have been made stupid. These people have become stupid, plain, simple pig slaves, which is what they're called, slaves. But these things were people once before, but now they're not, and they're slaves to the Daleks, and they are simple beings. Climax is reached, the music is great once again, it builds up and up to the reveal of the human Dalek. The creature comes out and it's wriggly, and there must be loads of little parts that keep the thing going, and it looks so interesting as well. Every time that I see it, the texture to it, every little minor detail is really just fascinating to look at. And then I notice